What if the most connected generation in history is also the most lonely? What if the more we post, the less we exist? And what if the freedom we think we have online is the very thing that enslaves us? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary ones. We scroll endlessly, we share constantly, we react instantly. And yet, somewhere between all the noise, we have forgotten how to think. If Immanuel Kant stood among us today, he would not be shocked by our technology. He would be fascinated by our confusion, because what he would see is not just a social phenomenon, but a moral crisis, a world where reason has been replaced by reaction. He would not ask how social media works. He would ask what it does to the soul. Kant's entire philosophy rests on one cornerstone: freedom, but not freedom as most of us imagine it. Today, we say freedom when we mean permission, the right to do, say, or share whatever we wish. But for Kant, freedom meant something higher. He wrote, "Freedom is the capacity to act according to a law one gives oneself." That means you are free not when you follow your desires, but when you master them, not when you obey impulse, but when you live by principle. Now ask yourself, do you truly control your attention online? Or does your attention control you? Each like, each scroll, each notification, these are invisible chains. Chains made not of iron, but of impulse. Kant would look at your endless scrolling and say, "You are not free, my friend. You are reacting, not reasoning. You are living according to the laws of another's design, the slavery of the algorithm." Kant warned against a life governed by heteronomy. That is, a will ruled by external influences rather than by reason. In the past, heteronomy came from religion, politics, or authority. Today, it comes from algorithms. Your thoughts are shaped by what the feed decides is relevant. Your emotions are manipulated by what is trending. And your sense of self is calibrated by the approval of strangers. We call this engagement. Kant would call it moral hypnosis. The platforms say, you are free to express. But they design the stage, control the spotlight, and sell the applause. Freedom without self-governance is not liberation, it's seduction. And Kant would tell us, when you allow your emotions to be engineered, you surrender not only your privacy, but your dignity. Kant believed every human being possesses dignity, not price. That means your worth cannot be measured by what you produce, what you earn, or how many people approve of you. Yet social media has turned human attention into a marketplace. We have reduced dignity into data. A person's value is now tied to numbers, followers, likes, reach. The result? We begin to think of ourselves not as souls, but as profiles. We edit reality to appear worthy. We hide truth to remain likable. We sacrifice authenticity to maintain attention. Kant would call this a violation of the moral law within. He would say, to treat yourself as a means to an end, even your own fame, is to betray your humanity. He would not attack technology. He would attack the mentality that turns a person into a product. Imagine this: a human being divided into fragments, posts, reels, tweets, and comments. You show one version of yourself online, another offline. Your public self becomes a brand. Your private self becomes a burden. This is the new fragmentation of the soul. And Kant, who believed the moral self must be unified, would call this a dangerous fracture. He would ask, how can you act with moral consistency when you live with divided identities? You cannot live truthfully while performing constantly. And yet, performance has become the condition for belonging. So people live as if they are brands, not beings. They curate existence, not experience it. Kant would warn, when you treat your own self as an object of display, you lose the subject, the thinking, feeling, moral being behind the image. To regain integrity, he would say, you must rebuild the bridge between your online self and your inner self. Otherwise, the very technology meant to connect us will continue to fragment what's most sacred, the unity of the mind. Kant's moral revolution began with one command: sapere aude, dare to know. To think for yourself is the beginning of all moral maturity. But in a world of constant noise, independent thought is almost an act of rebellion. Because our digital world does not encourage reflection, it rewards reaction. The faster you respond, the more you are seen. The more you feel, the more you are fed. And the more you follow the crowd, the more the system rewards your conformity. Kant would call this the death of enlightenment. He would say, the greatest immaturity is to let another think in your place, even if that other is an algorithm. To reclaim freedom, you must slow down. Pause before reacting. Reflect before responding. This is not passivity, it is moral resistance. Because in a world where everyone screams, the quiet thinker is the last free human being. Let's talk about what you post. Kant believed morality is not about outcomes, it's about intentions. So he would not ask how many people liked your post. He would ask why you posted it. Did you share to inspire or to impress? To express truth or to seek validation? If your intent is rooted in ego, your act loses moral worth, no matter how beautiful the outcome. But if your intent is guided by reason and respect, even a small act can be morally profound. Kant would challenge the modern influencer culture. Do not confuse popularity with virtue. He would tell you, a good action done for applause is not good at all. It is manipulation dressed as morality. So next time you share, ask yourself, am I treating my audience as ends in themselves or as means to my fame? Because this single question, this Kantian mirror, can turn every post into an act of moral reflection. Behind every username is a person, a consciousness, a world of memories and dreams, a moral being with the same dignity as you. But online, that truth disappears. Anonymity turns empathy into aggression. Distance turns people into targets. Disagreement becomes dehumanization. Kant would call this the collapse of respect, the erosion of the moral foundation of society. He wrote, act so that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, always at the same time as an end, never merely as a means. Apply that to the internet. It means never use another person's mistake for your entertainment. Never exploit their pain for your content. Never destroy a reputation for the thrill of a viral moment. Because the instant you do, you become a participant in moral decay. Respect, Kant would say, is not politeness. It is the recognition of the sacred rational will in every person, even those you disagree with. And that respect, once lost, cannot be replaced with any number of likes. In Kant's age, empires conquered land. In ours, they conquer attention. The kings of old ruled through force. The kings of today rule through fascination. They do not demand your obedience. They design your desires. They do not take your freedom. They trade it for convenience. Kant would see this as a new kind of tyranny, one that rules through pleasure instead of pain. He would tell you, be careful of what you enjoy too easily, because what you enjoy repeatedly, you begin to serve unconsciously. The attention economy has made slaves of the distracted. And Kant would remind you, freedom begins where compulsion ends. Every time you resist the urge to scroll mindlessly, you practice autonomy. Every time you choose silence over noise, you strengthen your will. This is not trivial, it is revolutionary. Because every act of awareness is an act of moral defiance. Kant taught that morality begins within, in what he called the kingdom of ends. A moral world ruled not by authority, but by reason. He would say, within you is a law no algorithm can alter, the law of conscience. This law does not trend. It does not seek validation. It does not change with fashion. It whispers quietly, do what is right, even when unseen. In the chaos of the digital storm, this inner kingdom is your sanctuary. Guard it. Do not let the noise of the crowd invade it. Do not let the praise of strangers define it. Because when you lose that inner voice, you lose yourself. And no amount of followers can bring you back. So what would Kant ask of us now? Not withdrawal, not silence, but maturity. He would say, the problem is not the tool, but the user. Not the platform, but the principle. He would want us to bring reason back to technology, to speak with truth, to connect with integrity, to live online as if every action were a moral act, because it is. He would tell us, human progress is not measured by innovation, but by intention. You may not control the algorithm, but you can control your attention. You may not change the digital world overnight, but you can preserve your dignity within it. Because the most powerful revolution is not social, it is spiritual. It is the revolution of the self, choosing reason over reaction, principle over popularity, truth over trend. If Kant could look at you right now, standing in a world of screens, he would not say, delete it all. He would say, wake up. Wake up to the reality that freedom without reflection is slavery. That expression without purpose is noise. That attention without awareness is exploitation. He would whisper the same words that lit the fire of the Enlightenment. Dare to know. Dare to think before you share. Dare to be moral when it's inconvenient. Dare to live with dignity in a culture that rewards spectacle. Because the world does not need more opinions. It needs more reason. It needs more integrity. It needs more people who think, not for likes, but for life. That, my friend, is what Immanuel Kant would say about social media. And perhaps it's exactly what we need to hear. If this talk awakens something in you, don't let the noise of the next scroll take it away. Freedom begins the moment you stop reacting and start reflecting. Join me in the next lecture, where we'll go deeper into the question every awakened mind must face. How can I live truthfully in a world addicted to illusion? Subscribe, stay thoughtful, and remember, you're not just a user in the algorithm. You're a consciousness in the cosmos.